Good day everyone. In today's discussion, I'll be tackling about the mechanics, rules, and regulations of long jump. But before that, let me introduce myself. I am Badiles, a second year BSN student from Cebu Technological University, Barili campus. Before I'll talk about the mechanics, rules, and regulation of long jump, let me define first what is long jump. So long jump, it is a track and field in which athletes combine speed, strength, and agility in attempt to leap as far as possible from a takeoff point. So much for that. Let me give you the mechanics of long jump. There are 5 mechanics of long jump. First, master the timing of long jump. Second, avoid fouls caused by jumping too late is one of the most essential part of the sport. The third one is nail down the timing while in a full sprint. The fourth one, 6 steps before the athlete embarks on his or her jump. And lastly, master adjustments. The rules and regulation of long jump are the following. First, no part of the athlete's foot should cross the front edge of the foul line. If at the point of takeoff, any part of his foot or even the two edge of his shoe crosses the front edge of the foul line, then the jump is termed to be illegal or a foul jump and does not count. Second, typically in track and field events, a long jumper has 3 attempts to register his or her best legal jump. A foul jump accounts for an attempt, but the time isn't registered. Only the farthest legal jump counts. Third, the distance or the jump is measured from the front edge of the foul line to the first landing point of the athlete. The fourth one is, similarly, even if the athlete takes off from behind the foul line, the starting point is still considered to be the front edge of the foul line, rather than the athlete's actual takeoff point. The fifth one is, somersaults are not permitted during the jump. 6. The maximum approved thickness for a long jumper's shoe sole is 13 millimeters. Lastly, records made with assistance of tailwind of more than 2 meters per second are not considered. However, the time is registered in the ongoing competition since all of the athletes will benefit the same wind condition.
Hey guys, I'm Brianna Glenn. I'm a professional long jumper ranked top 10 in the world, former NCAA champion. I'm here today to give you some pro tips about how to be a better long jumper. And to start with that, we're going to talk about the approach, which is by far the biggest component to being a good long jumper, is having a consistent approach that's fast, that has its own rhythm, and that you can set up a good jump for. So if you don't have that, you're not going to be a good long jumper. Basically, all sprint technique applies to the long jump because you're sprinting down the runway. And so you're going to have your beginning part of your run, which is a drive. You're going to transition to a tall position, and you're going to come to the board as quick as possible and the most speed you can handle and take off from. And once you come to the board, the last 3 steps are the most important. That sets up your jump. So you want to focus on those 3 steps, and I'll talk about that a little bit later more in detail. And then hit in the middle of the board, not going over so you don't foul, and take off. So going to show you how the run is going to look. It should be a smooth transition starting down, approaching a full upright position, and sprinting towards the board with my last 3 steps being the quickest. So let's head back there. Okay, so I'm about to start my long jump approach. If you ever watch long jumping, you'll see a lot of people do a lot of weird things at the beginning of their approach. They like to hop into it, they like to go back like this. All that stuff isn't necessary. You can do it if you'd like because sometimes it helps your rhythm, but actually I prefer starting from a standstill and building up my momentum as I go. So I'm going to drive, come to the board tall, and be in a good position to take off. So a big part of long jumping is obviously getting a fair jump, and that means jumping on or behind any part of this white area. Ultimately, your goal is to get as much of this board as you can without going over. Once you go over, that's considered a foul. So I'm trying to get most of this board as I can without going over. For me, it's all about steering to this point. I have my run that starts about 40 meters back, and about 6 strides out, I'll have a check mark, and that's going to tell me where I'm at in my run and if I've been consistent up until that point. And if that's true, I know that if once I get here, I'll be right on the board. The closer I get, I'm seeing the board with my peripheral vision. And so once I hit it, hopefully I'm hitting it right in the middle of the board and getting the most out of that to get a fair jump. So a lot of times people make the mistake of stuttering once they get to the board and not being able to control their speed, and then they end up way back here, or overstriding once they get to the board and making this stride way too big and then being over and fouling. So working on consistency in practice and working on just hitting the same spot every time, steering towards the board, basically not putting your head down to look at it, but seeing it out of your peripheral as you're coming in so that you can work on hitting the same spot every time. And that's my pro tip for you on how to do a successful long jump approach.
To end my discussion, let's have a trivia. Did you know that long jump was one of the world's oldest sporting events? It was one of the events at the ancient Olympic Games in Greece. And back then, it was a soul jumping event. That's my discussion is all about. Thank you for watching.